I smell something. It's coming from over here.
Oh, what?
The chubby boy.
It's not the Toon Squad locker room? Lola!
Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris. I just got done watching Space Jam: A New Legacy, and with this movie, it's the 25 years in the making sequel to the original Space Jam that starred Michael Jordan. The Looney Tunes haven't been on the big screen in a while, but here they decide to pair up with LeBron James to fight an evil algorithm played by Don Cheadle. This evil algorithm has trapped LeBron James into a virtual world that happens to contain all the movies that Warner Brothers has ever made. From here, LeBron will gather up the Looney Tunes in order to win his son back in a game of virtual basketball. And that's all pretty much it without giving any spoilers to you guys. This is a spoiler-free review. Some things off the top I want to get out the way is I'll be doing a giveaway of this set of Funko Pops for Space Jam: A New Legacy in honor of the movie. All you have to do is be subscribed, leave a like, and comment down below that you would like the set. I think this is for sure one of my favorite series of Funko Pops here, and I just wanted to share the love. And also just a quick huge shout out to little man Carter here, who I got to meet at the screening of Space Jam: A New Legacy. He came up to me, said he was a fan of the channel. It's always crazy to me when I meet fans in real life. And funny enough, he told me that today is his actual birthday. So if you guys want to go ahead and wish him a happy birthday, I'm going to leave his YouTube channel in the description. He's a big Looney Tunes fan, and around here, if you're a fan of Looney Tunes, we all friends. Alright, so for Space Jam: A New Legacy, I had been anticipating this movie from the minute they announced it, okay? Because I grew up watching on repeat the original Space Jam with Michael Jordan. That was one of the films I probably annoyed my parents with because I just had it running over and over every now and then, memorizing the lines to, like, even last week when I rewatched the movie just in preparation for Space Jam: A New Legacy, it was like this weird nostalgic hit that certain sound beats, certain lines of dialogue would take me back to eating Fruit Loops in my little Toy Story chair, just going, whoa, this is great, Bug Bunny. Then came the announcement that it would be with LeBron James, and I'll be completely honest with you guys, I could care less who the athlete was that they put into a new Space Jam movie, because to me, the real star of Space Jam are the Looney Tunes. That is the group of characters I love seeing on the big screen. And even on that same subject of me mentioning that I rewatched the original Space Jam, controversial opinion, I can admit the movie does not hold up from your nostalgic kid eyes. I'll still love that movie to the end of time and defend it, but I gotta be honest when I say it's a guilty pleasure. So from that standpoint, I thought Space Jam: A New Legacy could only go up in quality from what the original was, and now having seen it, I think it's an absolute blast, alright? Don't get me wrong, I think there are some issues in here and a couple of flaws that I definitely want to get into in this review, but just praising what really did work in this Space Jam movie. One of the best things about this new Space Jam: A New Legacy are just the visual effects. Like, this is the most beautiful the Looney Tunes have ever looked on screen, and I'm not even talking about the CGI sequences where they bring them to life, because that stuff looks absolutely gorgeous in theaters, but even the 2D animation and what they're able to do there is done so well, is so entertaining, clever, and funny that I doubt any naysayers or people who are just not big fans of 2D animation anymore because they think it's outdated will be bothered by those sequences in the movie. If anything, I think those are the best moments. When the movie is in its full Looney Tunes self and the Looney Tunes are doing what they do best, which is going crazy, throwing in their meta humor, is when I was most engaged in this movie. But it's also just this little side story they throw in with the Looney Tunes and what Bugs is struggling with in this film. It got to me, man. That was like the emotional part of this film that I was like, oh, I wish they would have digged in a little deeper there, because that's something really wonderful, to where I don't think this is a spoiler because you see it in the trailers. They have to round up the Looney Tunes by going to different movies in the Warner Brothers universe, and in the film you find out Bugs Bunny is the last member living on the Looney Tunes planet, and he's just missing his friends and uses this excuse of LeBron James and basketball to go be with them one more time together. And man, I love that. It was so wholesome and heartwarming just to see Bugs Bunny wanted to be reunited with his family. If we're talking about some of the human actors in here, boy, Don Cheadle as the villain, Algae Rhythm, he is gonna steal the show or annoy the hell out of you. And for me, he stole the show and was what really elevated this thing to another level, because every second Don Cheadle is on screen, like, we want to talk about the memeability of the original Space Jam. Everything Don Cheadle does in this movie will be turned into a GIF, will be turned into a meme, and I can't wait to see what crazy things the internet does with the Don Cheadle character, because the man is just this over-the-top, wacky villain, perfectly suited to be a Looney Tunes bad guy, who's this algorithm algorithm created by Warner Brothers to create movies for them who just wants to be recognized and takes the opportunity of like, oh, a big star like LeBron James, let me humiliate him in a game of basketball, then the world will know how big I truly am. And don't even get me started on the Easter eggs and amount of surprises in this movie, which I know could go either way. Some people think that, oh, this is just one glorified ad, just a big little sponsorship of cameos, just some cheap fan service and a wannabe Ready Player One. I don't friggin' care. Seeing your favorite characters you grew up with from different movies all compiled in together, and the gags they throw in there will have you smiling ear to ear every time I saw an Easter egg or a gag that reminded me of my childhood, because there are a lot of surprises in here that they did not show off in the trailer. Thank freaking goodness, of cartoons you probably watched when you were a kid. Even some modern day ones that you're like, well, how did they get in the movie? My Easter egg video and breaking down all the things you miss is gonna be one hell of a pain, but it is gonna be so fun skimming through all that footage, seeing all the characters I miss in the background, because there are so many that just get flashed at your face. And while they don't spend too much time going into all these different movies to pick up Looney Tune characters, if anything, it's just one extended montage sequence. They sacrifice that time of going into all these different IP universes by giving you one hella long basketball game. No joke, the basketball game with LeBron James and the Looney Tunes, where they're live action CGI, that is like literally half the movie. At least 40% of the film is the basketball game. And again, that's where I have to throw my hat off to this movie, because it knows what it is and it knows what you're here for, is just this crazy weird basketball game. And they didn't pull a fast one and only have the Looney Tunes in live action CGI form for like 10 or 15 minutes. No, they have them there for like about an hour. I really do believe if you're a fan of the original Space Jam or even the Looney Tune characters in general, you're gonna end up liking this movie. You're gonna have such a good, wacky, fun time. But if you were someone who maybe didn't grow up watching Space Jam or just weren't a big fan of the Looney Tunes, I don't think this movie is really going to change your mind, because there are some glaring issues in here. A couple of those things is LeBron James unfortunately just does not have the acting chops to lead a movie. Again, I'm not a LeBron James hater. I barely follow sports. I don't know too much about this man's life. Just judging him on his acting performance, he has a long way to go before he should probably star in another movie. In fact, I would say LeBron James in this movie is way better once he goes 2D animated, because then he finds like a real stride in delivering his lines and his jokes. So LeBron James gets much better in the movie once he becomes animated, but eventually he has to go back to live action form, and you see some missteps in his acting. Along with that, in this movie, they also give LeBron James this family dynamic, and you saw in the trailers, he just doesn't understand that his kid wants to be a video game developer instead of a basketball player like him. And that's a huge focus in the movie that I felt didn't completely land that mark. There's some emotional beats that are supposed to happen, and LeBron James better bonding with his son that I just couldn't find myself that invested in. There are some sweet moments, and that message is nice, but I don't think the movie really played that out well. If anything, I would have rather of them give more of a focus on this whole Looney Tunes situation where Bugs Bunny has missed his friends and he hadn't seen them in a long time. Because there is something that happens with the Looney Tunes and Bugs Bunny, and specifically towards the end of the movie, that I literally was on the verge of tears, but because we have to focus so hard on LeBron James's made-up family, it kind of ruined that momentum and emotional connection I was having with the Looney Tunes characters. All the other flaws that some people might have, though, you have to remember, they're the same flaws that were in the original Space Jam. Does this feel like just one big corporate business commercial thrown at your face? Yeah, but so was the original Space Jam. It started out as a commercial with Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny, and it was kind of meant to sell some Michael Jordan shoes. There's a whole sequence focused in on that. So this movie does that same thing. Michael Jordan also wasn't the best actor in that movie, and neither LeBron James here in this one. Is it annoying that the basketball game with the Looney Tunes has no rules? It's just nonsense and crazy and everything is made up along the way? Yeah, but so was the original Space Jam. That basketball game had no rules, was just nonsense, and random things were happening. Admittedly, they do take it a little over the top in Space Jam New Legacy with the basketball game and certain rules that I think it does hinder your suspense, because you're like, alright, so anything can just happen in this basketball game, alright now. But at the end of the day, this is a kid's movie. It's no longer really made for me. It's called A New Legacy for a reason, and even in my theater, there were a bunch of little kids in little Toon Squad outfits, just Bugs Bunny t-shirts, and just seeing that happiness on those kids' faces when the movie ended and my entire audience started clapping from joy because they liked the film that much, brings joy to my heart and lets me know this film is going to be a success with regular audiences, but it might not meet the needs of the critics, because because they hold it to this weird high standard that it's like, it's the Looney Tunes being crazy. What do you expect? All right, so for Space Jam: A New Legacy, I'm gonna give action 3.5 stars. There is so much stuff going on in this Space Jam film where the Looney Tunes are going crazy. Throw in the fact that it's visually stunning. The action is really fun to watch on screen. Comedy in the movie, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. Look, I really enjoy the Looney Tunes brand of comedy and its meta humor where it makes fun of itself, where it addresses the audience and breaks the fourth wall. Even this film referencing itself and knowing that critics aren't gonna love it by making fun of the fact that, oh, athletes in a movie never go well. That's literally a joke in the movie. And who can forget the insane performance Don Cheadle brings to this movie? I think it's a riot. Drama in the movie, I am gonna give it 2.5 stars, and that kind of sucks because I was really hoping that the story was gonna bring it home for me and have me super invested, but the LeBron James fake family story just didn't work out for me, and I was way more invested into the Looney Tunes drama and that backstory, but the movie really kind of brushes them aside as side characters. Horror in the movie, I'm gonna give it no stars too. Yeah, you'll see a Pennywise here in the background, but the boy never really gets his time to shine. It really is for kids. Suspense in the movie, I'm gonna give it 2 stars. Some things are very predictable. You know how the storyline will end with LeBron James and his fake family. There's one thing that happens with Bugs Bunny that I think is kind of surprising, but it maybe just was the over-the-top basketball game that had absolutely no rules and everything was being made up along the way that kind of stopped you from being able to have some suspense because you're like, anything can happen in this game. Casual fans, I'm gonna give it an A+. Cinephiles, I'm gonna give it a B-. And critically, I'm going to give it a C-. So for Space Jam: A New Legacy, if you are a fan of Space Jam and the Looney Tunes, it's definitely worth watching in theaters. I really wanted to love Space Jam: New Legacy and put it a little bit higher on my final mark, but at the end of the day, it was just a good movie. It was decent. It did what it needed to in terms of giving me some Looney Tunes action while reminding me of my nostalgic past with Space Jam. It is lacking that charm and amazing soundtrack that the first film had, but I think you're still gonna enjoy it. Don't forget to tune in for the giveaway, but also be back because I think I'm gonna do an Easter egg and things you missed video, and that's gonna be giantly epic. But as always, my name's Chris. Take care.